Hello, welcome to the video. I have officially filmed and posted the last video about my 2025 reading. I thought it would be very appropriate for the very first video of my 2026 to be just a general video on my reading goals and a little bit of my TBR. I filmed a very similar video last year where I went through my TBR for 2025, and while I think it was helpful for me to wrap my head around some of the books that I was interested in reading, I didn't quite do very well. I read some of the books from that list, but I did not read all of the books that I wanted to read. And so in 2026, we're going in with a little bit of a different approach. Let me explain to you the process. So my TBR video for 2026 will be different in two ways. The first way is that I actually want to schedule out specific books to read in specific months. And the second way is that I want to actually discuss books that are part of series that I've started either in 2025 or prior to that I'm going to be continuing in 2026, or some of them I could even be finishing. So what do I mean when I say that I want to schedule out books to read? That seems just a tad psychotic, but let me explain. I got this idea by watching a bunch of different YouTubers basically having their own book clubs, and two booktubers in specific got me thinking about this, Carolyn and Emmy. They are having this book club where they are reading really huge books, and I was watching their videos where they were discussing the types of book they would be reading in 2026, and that got me thinking to actually use that structure that they're using and many other people who have book clubs are using and apply it to my own interests and apply it to the books that I want to read. And specifically, what I want to do is read big books. I keep buying so many huge books, and I have so many of them on my shelves at this point. These are books that I'm very intimidated by, but I really want to read. These are bucket list type of books that I know I want to get to for sure. Most of these are classics, but not all of them, but I just never find the time. Like, there's never a good time to pick up War and Peace. You know what I'm saying? It's just a huge commitment. I'm always busy. I don't have the time to do it. And so what I decided to do is take a relaxed approach. So I'm not going to tell myself I'm going to read one big book per month, because we all know that's never gonna happen. But I am going to schedule out a couple of big books that I want to actually read in 2026, and I'm going to do so in a more relaxed manner, meaning I'm gonna give myself 3 months to read one book. So let's talk about the chunky books. So the first book that I'm going to be tackling from January up until March, The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. If you've watched any of my videos from 2025, you probably know that I tried to read this one in 2025, and I did get a chunk of the way through, and I'm very happy about that. But then the autumn semester started and shit just hit the fan, so I couldn't do it anymore. So I am restarting again in 2026, The Brothers Karamazov. I'm going to have a personal weekly schedule as well, so that I can keep making progress every single week and I don't just stagnate and wait until it's March to read it. I already started tabbing a little bit of this book in 2025, and I'm having a lot of fun with annotating this book because it's a book that is very philosophical. It discusses a lot of existential questions, and I want to make sure that I get the most out of it. If you're interested in the annotation method that I use for this book, I think I'll probably discuss it in the vlog that I'll be filming for it. Just generally what I'm keeping track of is character development, so every single character's arc, and also general themes that interest me. So in this case, a lot of the things that I've picked up on in the first chunk of the book that I've read so far are a lot of questions about religion and also morality. So in case you've never heard of this book before, which I'm sure you have, this is a book that is set in the 19th century Russia, and it follows the Karamazov family. In this family, we have 3 brothers, Dmitry, Alyosha, and Ivan, and we also have their very selfish and absolutely horrible human being of a father who is kind of the patriarch of the family. I know that there is a crime that happens in this book, and the big part of the book is us following the aftermath of this crime. So although it looks like I'm almost a third way through it, I still have not gotten to the crime yet. I think it's gonna happen soon though. And essentially we're just following the 3 brothers living very different types of lives. They most definitely don't have the perfect relationship between themselves or even with their father. So we're kind of of following each of them independently, trying to figure out their life. With Alyosha, for example, being the person who wants to be very religious, so he's trying to follow the church, whereas Ivan is a bit the opposite. He's more of an intellectual and doesn't really believe in religion. So it's, needless to say, a very interesting book, a very philosophical book, and I'm very excited to keep reading this and to finally finish this break. In the months of April going all the way into June, I will be extremely busy. I'm planning to defend my PhD and also get married in those months. So I have a lot of things going on. So I wanted to pick a book that was not a classic, a book that could be a bit more escapism and a bit less thinking and being highly intellectually involved in it. And so I decided to pick up Dune by Frank Herbert. This is also a huge book, and I'm very intimidated just by the size of it. So I thought that would be a great pick for these 3 months. Dune is essentially an epic sci-fi saga that is set in a completely different planet. My knowledge about this book is very limited. I mostly just want to pick it up for the vibes because I know a lot of people love this book, and I know that the movies recently came out and a lot of people love the movies. I haven't watched them yet because I keep saying I want to read the books first. But essentially we're set on a different planet called Arrakis that is functioning around a very specific type of substance that is very valuable called spice, which can do a lot of crazy things like enhance someone's awareness, can help with space travel, and other things that I'm not aware of. We are mainly following the perspective of Paul, who is the heir to a big family in this planet who is supposed to take over control of the whole entire planet. However, there are some sort of political tensions that happened, and Paul gets thrown out of his house and he has to kind of regain power in a different way. That is as much as I know about it, and I'm really excited to continue my journey with sci-fi that I've started in 2025, and I thought that there's no better way to do it than with Dune. For the months of July going all the way into September, I think I'm not gonna be as busy. It's gonna be the summer. I'm not gonna be as busy as usual. So maybe, just maybe, I'm gonna have a little bit more time and intellectual space to pick up a book that I've been meaning to pick up literally for years, like for as long as I can remember. And that is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I have read from Tolstoy before Anna Karenina, which I've really enjoyed. And I found Anna Karenina to be incredibly approachable considering the size of it. But for some reason, even though Anna Karenina was a really great experience, I always remained very just scared of War and Peace. I think the reason why is because I know it's very historically contextualized and it's set during the Napoleonic Wars. And so I know that there's going to be a lot of history and a lot of those more technical aspects of the book. The only thing I know about the story really is that we are following a bunch of different families that are very well off, aristocratic families in Russia, and just more generally tries to portray a picture of Russia in those times. So I'm really hoping my summer will be chill so that I can actually focus on this book. And then the last big book that I want to pick up for 2026 from October all the way until December is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I don't know if this is the biggest one of the list. Actually, they're all huge. I think Dune is probably the shortest with a couple hundred pages, but the rest of them I think are all above 1,000 pages. In any case, I have watched the movie, so I already know the story and I love the story. I'm really excited to also read it. I've heard that it's a story that just keeps you so intrigued even though it's huge. I've never read a book from Alexandre Dumas before, and I'm really excited to read from him. I also have plans to read Victor Hugo at some point. I want to get more into French literature. I just need to find the time. Essentially, this follows the story of a sailor who is thrown away in prison for treason that he has not actually committed, and he actually spends lots and lots of years in that prison rotting away on a remote island. Eventually, he actually manages to escape and comes across huge wealth, and then he goes back to his hometown and he reinvents himself as the Count of Monte Cristo. And then essentially from there on out is just a tale of revenge for the people who threw him in prison and trying to get back his lady. So those were all the chunkier books that I wanted to pick up in 2026. But aside from those, I also wanted to tell you about the series, which I really want to continue in 2026. I didn't want to put too many series on this list. I just wanted to put the series that I know I'm actually going to read from. Let's start by talking about this one because this series, it's one of my favorite series of all time, and I haven't picked up a book in the series in probably 2 years. And I'm talking about the Anne of Green Gables series. This is Anne of Ingleside. I believe this is book number 6 in the series. So the Anne of Green Gables series essentially follows the story of Anne Shirley throughout the entirety of her life. At the beginning of the first book, Anne is an orphan child who is being adopted by 2 siblings in the countryside. And then we just follow her, find her new community in this town, essentially grow up, go to university, find love. So in book number 6 here, Anne is fully a mother. So in this book, I believe we're mainly following her children, and maybe that's why I've been kept off from picking it up, because I just love the perspective of Anne and I love seeing life through her eyes. She romanticizes everything and makes every small thing just beautiful. But I believe in books 6, 7, and 8, it's mostly the perspectives of her children. I might be wrong, but I think that's the case. This book gives me super summer vibes, so I really want to pick this up during summer when I just want a light read to bring me back in this world. The next book that I want to pick up is the Winterhouse Mysteries. This is book number 3 in the Winterhouse series. I have honestly fallen in love with this cute little series. It's a series that follows Elizabeth Summers, who is also an orphan, and she is living with her aunt and uncle who are not entirely very nice to her. At the beginning of a winter vacation in book number 1, she is being randomly sent away to spend her holidays in Winterhouse, which is this gorgeous, beautiful, magnificent hotel that is secluded in the mountains. And in Winterhouse, she gets to discover a bunch of different series. She meets a friend named Freddie, who is this little guy here, and she meets a lot of people in the hotel. It's just the most cute, wintry middle grade. I love the series to bits. And the last book is actually set during Easter, I believe, or in the spring in general, which is very different from the 2 other books because the first 2 books are very, very wintry. I just finished reading book number 2 just last month, so I'm really excited to pick this one up during spring. The next book that I want to pick up, it's a series that I've let sleep on my shelves for absolute years. I don't even know how many years it's been since I read the first book in the series, but it's been many, 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 many years. I absolutely loved the first book when I read it. It was like on my top books of all time, and I don't know why I never pick up the second one. I just let too much time slide, and now I'm like, no, I need to go back in that world. I love those characters. I am talking about the Neapolitan novels by Elena Ferrante. So this is a series of 4 books that is following 2 girls, 2 friends, Lila and Linu, and we are set in a poor neighborhood in Naples right after Second World War. We follow these 2 girls who have to deal with a lot of violence, a lot of misogyny, a lot of difficulties that come along with poverty, challenges and stereotypes about education and women in education. The first book absolutely floored me. I loved it to bits, and I can't believe I haven't picked up the second. Like, I just cannot believe it. I actually bought this book when I was in Italy in Italian. I have not read a book in Italian in such a long time, so I am quite scared to pick this one up. I think I'll be sitting next to the dictionary for a good amount of time because I am so rusty in Italian at this point, but I think it's going to be a good challenge. I'm really excited to get back into it, and I'm excited to, most importantly, just get back into this world. The next series that I'm going to be continuing is a series by an author who was probably my favorite author of 2025, and it's a series that I started at the end of 2025, and that is The Second Era of Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So I have read book number 1 in November of 2025, and I'm very excited to read book number 2. To be completely honest, I'll probably finish the entire series in 2026. So in Mistborn Era 2, we are set a couple hundred years into the future after the first era, and it's an era that mixes 2 very distinct types of aesthetics the way I imagine it. So we have this kind of more Western aesthetic, and then we have this industrial aesthetic. I am not a fan of any of those, but for some reason they just work out so incredibly well in this series. We are following the perspectives of 2 main male characters. So we have Wax and we have Wayne, and they are kind of going on different quests, trying to kind of take on the roles of detectives and figure out different types of mysteries. So in book number 1, we were following a bunch of different kidnappings as well as thefts. I'm not sure where book 2 will go. Maybe we'll expand on those thefts and those kidnappings that we found in book number 1. The relationship between Wax and Wayne is incredible. I love their friendship. I love their banter, and I cannot wait to read probably hopefully the rest of the series in this year. The last series that I want to talk about today is a series that I have not read much from for about a year. I haven't read any books in 2025 in this series, and I actually already picked up the book that I'm about to show you, so the next book in the series, and I'm talking about the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. So I am about halfway through the Hair of Fire, and I am loving it. This is the best book in the series so far. Book number 1 was good, but it was a bit cringy. The writing I found to be a bit cringy. Book number 2 was better, and then this book is just so much better. I feel like she really matured in her writing, so much more interesting in the way that she's plotting different elements, and we're following so many more POVs that are not introduced in the first 2 books. It's just getting so freaking interesting, and I'm so happy that I decided to keep picking up the books even though I had to get over the cringy writing in the first book. We are following the epic story of Selena, who is a deadly assassin, and in the first book she's entering a competition to become the assassin of the emperor in this world, and we follow her getting entangled in political conspiracies and obviously finding out different mysteries about the castle and about the emperor himself and other people around the castle. There's also romance going on. We have a handsome prince, we have a handsome captain, but in book number 3, where I'm at right now, things are really picking up. I feel like, thinking back about book number 1 at this point, it was such a good slow burn intro into the grandeur that the rest of the series is going into, and I'm so excited to be more in this world. I'm just loving it. So those were all of the books that I am really planning on reading in 2026. There are definitely other books that I'm thinking about and that I want to pick up, new series that I want to pick up, but today I really wanted to focus on books that I am for sure planning to read, because a lot of the time when I'm doing TBR videos, I feel like I'm just talking about the books that interest me, but I don't end up picking up those books most of the time. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I would love to know what books you plan on picking up in 2026. Please feel free to let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.